Hello everyone and welcome back to another Show Me video from Every Movie Has a Lesson. My name is Shanahan and I write movie reviews kind of with a teacher's eye and slant with the idea that every movie can teach a lesson from the serious to the farcical. Today we have the big blockbuster to open up 2014. It's The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Stay here and I'll give you a little bit more of a lowdown. Alright ladies and gentlemen, to open up the blockbuster season for 2014, you have the highly anticipated The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Give me a second to write this right up here. It is the sequel to the 2012 reboot that was Amazing Spider-Man. It's directed by Mark Webb, and better known to audiences from 500 Days of Summer. The movie is, I think, it's how do I say this? It's definitely a superhero movie and definitely a sequel. I thought 2 years ago that the reboot was a little too early and too recent compared to the Sam Raimi trilogy that most of us remember with Tobey Maguire. I thought it was a mistake to kind of go back down this road so early and so quickly. But I tell you what, I give the first movie at least the credit to give some unique casting, give a little bit of a different dimension to some of the things they do with Spider-Man, but I still felt like too many things were just overly familiar. I gave that movie 2 years ago 3 stars the first time around. This movie this time around is, I will say it's better than the first one, but I can't say it's a lot better, to the point where when I reviewed it again, I pretty much gave it the same 3 stars. I think it is a movie that can be a sequel that improves upon the original. I think the romance angle between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone saves the movie. I think some of the very unique and very funnily shot action and editing saves the movie, but it is 2.5 hours of a lot of characters, a lot of story, and not a lot of things that stick together very well. It's a fun movie. I'll give it that. It looks great in 3D. I'll give it that. But the villains are kind of a step down. Paul Giamatti is thrown in there as the future Rhino with a bad accent and a dumb part. Jamie Foxx is given the Edward Nygma Jim Carrey treatment as a obsessed fan turned villain for this Electro role, which, let's be honest, looks completely cartoonish with the blue and the electricity. He either looks like an Avatar Navi, an Opal, or he looks like Mr. Freeze from Batman and Robin from years ago. It's just not very good. I like Dane DeHaan, or Dane DeHaan, however you pronounce his name. I think he brings a little something extra underneath to the table as Harry Osborn in this new sequel, but he just isn't given much to do. If it was a movie with just his character and dynamic, it'd be fantastic, but when you throw in this heavy villain from Jamie Foxx with really bad dialogue and kind of walking special effects that just don't look good, it's just not a movie that goes that far. Like I said, it's a lot of fun. It's definitely, I guess I can say it's worth the money, but I gave it 3 stars the first time, which I felt generous 2 years ago, because I thought this was a cash grab from Sony to milk a product that they failed on the first time, and I still feel like it's a cash grab again, especially when they're kind of laying the seeds to kind of do more spin-offs, more sequels, and this is kind of Sony's chance to kind of butt in on what Marvel and Disney have been doing in their own, with having their own universe, having their own kind of big movies, big blockbusters, and this is kind of the one cash cow they have. Sony acquired James Bond, and that's kind of their one other big hit. Other than that, Men in Black is dead, and some of the other things Sony does is dead. So they're trying to throw everything they have really at Spider-Man, and it's a very expensive movie. It's a very big, gaudy movie. Like I said, the chemistry between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone saves it a little bit. I will say Andrew Garfield is a more fun Spider-Man than Tobey Maguire still, but the movie is just a shade better than the first one, but still kind of a middle 3 stars. A lot of reviews and a lot of critics out there just absolutely hate this movie. They kind of give it the Batman Forever treatment. I can see why they call it kind of a gaudy spectacle and a cash grab. It feels like that, but I tell you what, if you can turn your brain off and watch it, it's not too bad. You can read my review at everymoviehasalesson.com to kind of see a little bit where that's going, but my specialty on here is to do the lesson. So let's move it over a slide and get to the chalkboard for that. Alright, lesson number 1. In lesson number 1 here, there's lots of places I can, as usual with these lessons, there's lots of ways I can kind of spoil the movie, and I do my best every time I write a review to not. So the lesson number 1, and it's very general for a reason, and I'll kind of tell you why. It's finding a purpose within yourself. Give me a second to write, and I'll catch up where that's going. To say it vaguely, each character here in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 are kind of either post-high school or early 20s, at least our main characters are, and they're trying to find that next direction, not unlike most high school graduates around that time. Gwen Stacy has to kind of choose between some career success by going to college or standing by her man. Spider-Man is still kind of very much influenced by the dual life he leads as Spider-Man and as being, of course, Peter Parker. There's still the mystery of his parents, which is a kind of a bit of a drag in the story, but it's there. There's that dedication to the morals that his aunt and late uncle gave him. So there's that going. You have Harry Osborn, who's back after a long absence with his family, taking on the company. And of course there's our main villain, Max Dillon, who's Electro, who is that kind of invisible loser character who gets this wonderful power and thinks now he can finally get attention. So that idea of finding a purpose within yourself is big in this movie. Alright, lesson number 2 steps up a little bit more. And again, I don't want to be specific, but lesson number 2 is protecting those close to you that are put in danger. I don't think any of us are superheroes on the side here, but this is kind of a little bit of a classic superhero problem. Once they have a family or a girlfriend, whether it's Lois Lane, Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane Watson, or all of Batman's girlfriends that he gives away a secret identity to, the idea is if a villain or a threat ever came around to threaten, to kind of put the hero in danger, that therefore puts family and people close to them in danger. And that's definitely something, because Peter Parker and Spider-Man are definitely a younger, first-time kind of hero, that this plays up quite a bit. Especially with the idea that Gwen wants to hang around and be there for Peter, and she is in harm's way. There's a nice, unique little thing that kind of ends up being a repeat cameo in this movie of Dennis Leary, who played Gwen Stacy's father from the first movie, Captain Stacy of the Police, who, if you saw the first movie, died in the act of defending everything, kind of appears to Peter in these visions as a kind of a stoic reminder of that promise he made in the first movie to leave Gwen out of it. And of course, like any good hero, he doesn't, and it puts Gwen as very much a damsel in distress from plenty of times. I don't want to give too many spoilers away. You're going to see the movie this weekend. I think astute comic book readers know where this is going, and I won't give it away. But go ahead and see the movie for yourself, and you'll see where Lesson 2 comes up. Alright, as for Lesson 3, my final lesson, I have to completely cop out and give the direct quote from All Things Spider-Man. And I have to dig this from the very first trilogy, but I tell you what, the first trilogy from Cliff Robertson says it so much better than Martin Sheen did last movie. So the idea of with great power comes great responsibility. And I have to put this one in all caps because this is the quintessential Spider-Man mantra, and it's always should be and always will be. I think Martin Sheen said in the first movie, quote, those who have the ability to do good are morally obligated to help others. That's all nice, fancy, and cute, but let's face it, how they said in the first trilogy fits better on a movie poster, looks better, and is easier to remember. So I will definitely cop out and give props to the first trilogy and how this second trilogy still keeps this main Spider-Man mantra, but doesn't give it much of a new territory here. This is still the defining lesson for Spider-Man. He sees that his actions have culpability, risk, they have weight, they have issues, they have problems. It doesn't help that, and this is a complaint I'll have when you read my review, it doesn't help that Spider-Man has this overly convenient world where he happens to know every single villain and hero possible that's around him, and, you know, when something happens in the way to Spider-Man, it's going to happen to somebody, of course, he knows. Out of a city of 20 million people, for some reason, he knows every supervillain that ever comes to be. That's a gripe and general complaint about Spider-Man, whether it's a comic book or a movie, but it's kind of a chore that goes with this, but the usual Spider-Man mantra is there. Once again, I give this movie 3 stars. I call it just a shade of a 3-star movie, better than the first one, but it's kind of a chore. It's definitely long. It's about 2 hours and 23 minutes. It's the longest Spider-Man movie they've ever had. So And the seeds are planted to do more, but I think they definitely overstuffed this one with too much. The romance saves it and the action saves it, but that's about it. As always, you can catch all of my reviews in these Show Me videos that I tried to do. I'm trying to call this a little bit of the movie classroom is one of the things I'm tinkering with and calling this, but all of my stuff is at everymoviehasalesson.com. Read my full review for The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I hope you enjoy it. I hope to keep these things going, and we got a busy summer ahead of us, so by all means, and I tell you this every time, whatever you do, I hate popcorn. Don't save me any popcorn. Good night, everybody.